No one in this world can you trust. Not men, not women, not beasts. This you can trust.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Glory of Golden State Gaming. I'm your host, SwampSwimmer, and with me as always, the Clark Kent to my Bruce Wayne, Vespasian.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Aren't they kind of... Well, I don't know. Do Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne really interact that much? I mean, they're kind of a little bit of adversaries slash allies sometimes. I guess depends
it's
on the theme.
The alter egos of the superheroes, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
No, that's not the true identity. I don't know. For one, it's an alter ego. One, it's a true identity. So I don't know.
Right.
But hey, the past 5 videos we've gone through the 5 secondary objectives, and there is a 6th one. So we might as well jump to the last one, which is secure target. This is often referred to as 2 pennies. This is 2 objective markers. The player who won the choosing sides of the game gets to place the first marker. It has to be outside of 12 inches of your deployment zone. So in a standard setup, it's on the other half of the board from you, anywhere. And then the other player places the second one, and that second one has to be 24 inches away from the first one. Also 12 inches out of your deployment zone. So my objective when I think about this secondary is I always choose... I'm trying to control where he's placing, my opponent's placing his flag. So I'll often place exactly 24 inches from one board edge, which then forces my opponent to put it on the other side of the board.
Okay.
This can often interface uniquely with other deployment types. Like, for instance, it's 12 inches away from your deployment zone. So in circle, it's 12 inches from that oddly shaped deployment zone, which can be interesting, can add some variety to it. But yeah, what are your thoughts on the secondary?
Yeah, I think that there is a good battle report from Joust, where it was secure and Dawn Assault, which is another one, right, where you have that gap.
Yeah.
And I think, retrospect, I think that I made a little bit of a mistake taking advantage of the fact that you can place the secure like down in a corner.
In your own corner, yeah.
On your side is so counterplay of that is valuable, right? So you can prevent your opponent from doing that very efficiently if you get the first placement, right?
That's a very good point. Yeah.
So that's something to think about. From kind of like an overall strategy tactics, I think that you want to see how you think the game is going to unfold. So, I think that I basically go into it with 2 perspectives. Like, in one, I would want to have them as close as possible, right? And that's where I feel like I have a combat advantage. Maybe I don't have a mobility advantage, and I'm kind of trying to draw the game into a defined space of the board, right? In the other scenario, which I think is maybe a little bit more often with the type of armies I play, I have a mobility advantage, but not a combat advantage, head to head, and so I like to spread them, right? Mm-hmm. So that I can at least draw it by being able to kind of hold my opponent away from one. Right. Other than that, the play is similar in a lot of ways to King of the Hill and Hold, right? You kind of have it's advantage towards big, strong units that can tank and zone off of an objective. One other advantage against Hold is that it really is just about where things are at the end of the game, right? So it benefits the player that can play the long game, right? Establishing an early position is nice, but only if you can hold it all the way to the end, right? So you have to take that 6-turn perspective on this one, and so I think that adds a level of complexity to it. So yeah, I think that. But one of the gripes I have is I do feel like Secure, King, and Hold all play very similarly, and that there could be an opportunity for kind of more variety amongst those 3 personally. But I do think that the placement of the markers being so flexible and having so much kind of counterplay is an element it's good to practice. I remember with sitting on UB with a group of like 4 people and just like cycling through maps and in different deployment types and saying like, so where would you put this, right? So being able to put it where it's kind of an impassable is in the way, and it kind of prevents a big slice of your opponent's deployment zone from being accessible to 6 inches of the objective is one good approach. So I think there's all sorts of of interesting things that you can think about. It's worth thinking about it in advance. I don't know that a lot of people do that.
I agree. And just to finish the full thought, the way you win the objective is having scoring units within 6 inches of either of the 2 flags. And this can be tied if you're controlling one flag at the end of the game and your opponent is controlling the other one. The secondary is tied. Very good thoughts. Some thoughts I didn't even think of. If you have the first drop of the flag and you're playing Dawn Assault, you can prevent your opponent from dropping it in his corner. Very smart. I didn't think of that. But hey, let's get on to the battle report. So if anyone is waiting for coverage of either the Red River Rumble that I went into in Oklahoma City or Silicon Hammer that we both went to in San Jose, we're going to push those reports a little bit because this is my doing. We all know the Saurian Ancient book is coming out probably at the beginning of next month, beginning of June. So this last weekend and this weekend, I am playing in a one-day tournament. I just played in a one-day tournament, and this weekend I'm going to Kansas to play in the Wicked GT. I am bringing the Saurian Ancients. This is my swan song farewell to the old Saurian Ancient book. So you're going to get 8 battle reports back to back with my Saurian Ancient list. If you don't like Saurian Ancients, I apologize. But let's get into the report. Let's see here.
Epic send-off for the old list.
So this is the one-day tournament over in Sacramento, Sactown Smackdown. I'm running the Saurian Ancients. We'll get into my list in a second. I got good old... Okay, so ignore the bottom right. Warriors of the Dark Gods Austin is not correct. That should read Asklanders Henry, our good friend Henry, who came on and did a couple battle reports with us. He's running some Asklanders now, and he challenged me, and I accepted. I thought I'd throw him a curveball. He thought I was running in Beast Herds, but I'm running the Saurian Ancients. It's a very, very fun list. But yeah, it's Frontline Clash Breakthrough, pretty standard. But let's go through my crazy list. I call this the flamethrower list because I've got the Quaddle on Evocation, and the thing you need to notice here is the Symbiosis, and I took Dance Macabre. I've got an Adept on Druidism with Book of Arcane Mastery. I've got a Skink Chiefs BFB on foot with a Wildfire Burst for an extra shooting. A Skaman block with Legion Standard, 2x20 bows, a 15 just babysitter unit of Braves, 2x2 Salamanders, 4 Ramphidons, 10 Chameleons, 2x3 Pterodons, 9 Skink Hunters, a Stygiusaur with Mystic Traveler, and the 5th Flamethrower comes from the Saurian Giant with the Pet Salamander. So this is a little bit of a gimmicky list. So the Quaddle has the Snipes, which are, always useful. He's got Whispers of the Veil, which is very helpful to a rank and file unit I'm flaming with the Salamanders or the Giant to lower their toughness. Then basically the strategy is I send out the Weapon Beasts, the Giant, and the Stygiusaur, and all of the Quaddle spells cast through the Stygiusaur because of Symbiosis, and then I cast Dance Macabre Bubble on the Stygiusaur, and all of those flamethrowers move an additional 6 inches, either to get close enough to shoot or to try to go around someone's flank. So basically, I consider this list like a a bunker killer, a Death Star killer, because you're sniping the characters and you're putting tons of wound into big units at the same time.
How does having 2 salamanders in a unit work? Like, are the shots simultaneous, meaning that you can do 2 hits per model?
Yes, exactly. They're simultaneous, and each individual one can only do a max number of hits that are models in the unit. So if I'm shooting at a single model like a giant, that unit can do 2 hits.
Got it. Wow. That's serious. Serious work.
Yeah, so I've got 1 block. I've got 1 kind of counter charge zoning unit, which is the Ramphidons. I'm definitely a skirmish run around you and shoot you list, which is very different than I normally run. But I got paired into Henry's Asklanders, and he went kind of crazy too. He's got a chief on a Wasteland Behemoth with a shield breaker. He's got a chief. His general is a longship raider, and so is his other character here. Both of them are beat sticks in combat. Then he's got a master on shamanism and a adept on thaumaturgy with the book and Norn's bones, and that gives him the choice to choose any of the 6 spells. Then he's got 46 Asklanders, which he put his general into, so they ambushed. Then 30 Asklanders that he put the other character into, and they ambushed. Then the horseman unit for scoring. The berserkers is where he put both of his wizards, 4 wargs, a giant with a club, and a Jotun.
So he got an extra 15 points just because he's cool.
Oh, is that wrong? Did he cheat? I don't know. I think War Score was miscalculating for some reason.
Oh, there was an update to that book. Maybe.
Oh, not War Score.
New Recruit.
New Recruit. Thank you.
Fair enough.
I didn't even look at that because I trust Henry, and I trust Henry didn't cheat at all. But don't worry, Henry didn't cheat. So it's an interesting list. It's ambush heavy, but I've got the big blocks there where I can flame them up real good. So I'm feeling good about it. And plus, it's Henry. Henry's always a fun
game.
You've
got a heavy gunline skew with a comment on Book of Arcane Mastery and a Shamanism map for sure.
That definitely figured into the game. So deployment here. So the fun part of this round 1 was this was blind deployment. Just like, they set up the screen between the sides. We all lay down our whole armies, and the player who chose the sides, the player who did not choose the sides, gets a +1 to the roll to go first. So it's interesting. My left to my right, I've got the pterodons up front, 2 units of skink bows. The front has the adept on druidism in there. The adept took the hereditary, and then he took 1 druidism spell, which is summer growth. My strategy there was, in early turns, I'm shooting the hereditary with +2 to cast, and in late turns, the healing 2 wounds on the salamander units is super helpful because as long as I get 1 wound onto the second model, I can shoot full strength. That's the concept. Then I've got the 15 skinks with hand weapon shield in front of the Skaman block. I've got the hunters with my BSB Wildfire Burst bow guy in there. Behind them's the Quaddle. Behind them's the Ramphidons. On the right, I've got the pterodons. Behind them is the giant, both units of salamanders, and the Stygiusaur. And then I scouted the chameleons off to the right here. And he's got, on the far left, he's got his horseman, his giant. Then this is the Wasteland Behemoth with his chief on it. Then the Jotun right here. Then his berserkers with his 2 wizards in it, and then the wargs on the right.
Okay.
So I feel like I really lucked out here because the wargs are the flamethrower shot from the giant when I'm in short range does multiple wounds D3.
Yeah.
And that's the perfect target for him with the wargs with like almost no armor. So
are you sure that's the Berserker unit with the wizards? Because it's massive. Is it like?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's the Berserkers. We talked about it. Let me see here. Berserkers.
Because he's got it looks more like he's got the Berserkers ambushing, and maybe that's like the 30-man unit.
Let's see here. Berserker. Maybe it's right. I don't know. It's one of those units. It doesn't take.
They haven't been on discipline, and it makes a little bit more sense then.
Yeah.
Because. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe, but it just looks like way more than 20. Right?
So yeah, I win the roll to go first, so I do. And what do I do here? I basically push up on the right, throw the pterodons in front of the wargs here, drop the rocks on the wargs, and I try to just punch his right flank as hard as I can, because if I get through those wargs, then I can push these salamanders into this big block and just start flaming the bejesus out of it. Pretty self-explanatory, right? I get whispers off on them, which is nice. Notice the little frog on there. That's my my bloat toad marker for my ramphidons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and what happens? This is his movement, but you see the wargs are way over here. I do a bunch of damage with the blowpipes and one of the salamander units, and he runs away. Fails his panic, doesn't rally, and runs even further to here. This is where he is now, the wargs. I'll tell you right now, he fails his rally check again and runs off the board, which is pretty nice.
Yeah.
And in his turn and bottom one, he just moves up. He moves up his horsemen here to get to breakthrough scoring. He had like those horsemen do nothing the whole game. They just kind of run in here and count towards breakthrough. And he pushes his characters up. He doesn't charge my chap, which is interesting. That's what he does. So in the magic phase, he's got a really hard thing for me to counter. He has 3 spells I'm worried about. He's got Totemic Summon. He's got Chilling Howl, which is really hurtful to my shooting my flamers. And then he's got Wrath of God. So I choose to stop. I really chose to stop Totemic Summon. And in his magic phase, he gets off 1 Wrath of God right here, which is a little scary, but also I'm a fast-moving army, so I can kind of get away from it a decent amount. Let's see here. In my turn, I do exactly that. I push up on his scoring unit here with his characters. I push all the salamanders into him. I scoot back with my main lines to try to get away from the comet. And that's the best I can do, really. But
just gauging distances, does he that kind of looks like the Jotun and the Behemoth have pretty easy charges into that Brave unit. Is that maybe you just flee?
Man, you are like a clairvoyant. You've actually predicted the future.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
No. I'll just tell you right now. He charges into that unit, and it's an 11 on dice.
Okay.
I did leave him there, and the reason why I did that, I tried to move them away from the comet token, and maybe I shouldn't have, but we'll see. And then I just go crazy with the flamethrowers that takes off however many guys that is.
Whoa.
Yeah, I kill over the half the unit. I think I had whispers up also. Yeah, it was pretty gnarly.
Did the comet come down?
It did not. See, the token's up to 2 now. See, and this is exactly the Behemoth went for that long charge into this unit, needed the 11, made it, stuck it. I was like, oh gosh. Also, you notice there's 2 more units on the board. His Longship Raiders come on turn 2 automatically. And the rule is they both have to come on the same edge of the board. And I kind of gave him a good ambush here. I should have probably castled a little harder, so he'd have to bring on both units on one side of my units. But here he brought both up on both sides. I think the unit on the left. The unit on the left is
That's
that's the Berserkers with his general in it. And the one on the right is the other character with the hand weapon guys. And he goes for hand weapons into my Quaddle. Which is a little scary because they're actually strength 4. I didn't realize that. And I get lucky, and he does 3 wounds out of 4 on my Quaddle.
Whoa. Scary.
He takes the chaff in the center with the Yotun and the and his block. So it's a little. I'm not feeling super confident right now, but it's not the end of the world. We'll see what happens. Okay, so I know in the magic phase So first of all, at the end of his magic phase, he casts another comet, which is, see the token right here? Again, I'm just shutting down Totemic Summon and Chilling Howl. The comet he cast before drops, and he rolls an 11 on the radius of the comet. It gets a lot of stuff. My giant's down to 1 wound here. I'm pretty sure one of my Salamander's units is dead, but I can't remember how he killed it. No, it was the comet. The comet killed one of the Salamander units. And takes the Ramphidons down to 2 guys. It was pretty rough. So in my phase, I chaff his ambushing units on the left with the Pterodons. These bowmen are kind of screwed. The behemoth kills that small unit and decides not to pursue, and turns to face the bowman. I take my Ramphidons, but over here they're basically chaff now, and I run my Quaddle out. The Salamander unit that's still alive, I run up to flame the last of his unit here. And I take the giant and run him back to go after this unit and also protect the Quaddle. Let's see here. I think, yeah, okay. So in the shooting phase, there is no more unit left. Okay, so I shoot the Salamanders, and I also do the breath weapon from the Stygiosaur. I kill, with the flame attack, I kill all the unit except for 1 guy, and both his characters are still alive. I think they got wounded before because I did some sniping before, but I didn't kill him. And then the breath weapon kills one of his characters, kills the last guy in the unit, and takes his big shaman down to 1 wound.
Right. Nice.
So it's pretty. The skinks, the flamers are awesome. It's so satisfying when you get like a huge hit off with the flamers into a rank and file unit.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. So you notice here, I get Dance Off over here on the right, and that's the way I got the Quaddle behind the giant and the giant in front of the Quaddle. Oh yeah, these 2 guys right here are what's remained of that unit that the behemoth fought. So then you notice again, I flamed on the unit down here, did a bunch of damage. And I've been also just light shooting the Yotun, and I think he's down to 3 wounds after just a bunch of bow shots. And I'm thinking,
I don't know anything about what that is. What is that model like? Like, what does it do? Is it like a special giant, or?
It's a slow monster that's strength 7, toughness 7, 7 wounds. And also when you're in combat, it's a mini Chilling Howl, or a mini Frost Mammoth, where it lowers your agility by 1, but it also lowers your strength by 1.
Oh, so like the old Frost Phoenix. Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I realize I'm basically got this unit here, so I start circling around again. I throw my block here up on the hill, because I think with that Yotun down to 3 wounds, I could take it with the 3 Cayman. That's what I was thinking. And he comes in with the Yotun, no problem. He's like, I can take you.
Is that his wizard over next to your salamanders? That single model?
Yes, that's the single wizard left alive. I think he drops another comet this turn, but I'm not sure in his last dying breath. Down here, he kills my chaff. The giant charges the skinks with bows, makes them both flee off the board. I'm like, whatever, they're just skinks with bows. I had previously run my wizard into the hunter unit, so the hunter unit's like way over here now. And with thrown weapons, he kills my giant with the thrown weapons from this unit. He had 1 wound left.
Yeah.
So sad. So sad. And let's see here. I try to kill his giant with all these poison shots. I can't remember. Yeah, I don't kill him. I get him down to 3 wounds, which is disappointing. I thought I'd poison him off the board. And I even I even had the stand and shoot with the blowpipes, and I still only did 4 wounds. Yeah, at this point I start retreating because I realize I don't think there's anything else I can really do. And then this combat, I didn't realize it had the -1 strength, the Yotun. So I thought my Caimans were wounding on 5+, and they're actually wounding on 6s. Strength 6, and I'm wounding on 6s, which is crazy. And we continue to struggle in this fight here. He turns his monster to come into my flank next turn, so I'm a little worried here about I'm going to lose his block in the center. We'll see. I also it wasn't his general, but the character in this Longhorn unit, I end up sniping out. And I roll 3 on Hasten the Hour, or Touch of the Reaper, and caught 3 wounds on him and just kill him out of the unit, which was pretty cool. What do we got here? Yeah, his giant just kills all the skinks. I continue to fight the Yotun in the center here. And he comes into the flank with his berserkers and goodbye skink unit. And this, I think this is the bottom of 6. He kills back my skink unit here in the center. I pull back with everything except for my salamanders on the right, and I flame on to this unit. Whoa. Oh, yeah. And then in the magic phase, I think I plink off the last wound off the giant, off the Yotun and the giant. I killed both those monsters in turn 6, I'm pretty sure. Which was pretty nice. And then the flaming, I don't think I killed enough. I killed a bunch to get it. Yeah, I killed a bunch to get it down to, I think, below 25%. So overall,
bloody game. Jeez.
Yeah, it was a bloody game. It was a bloody game. Overall,
you got the little hunter unit, your BSB, the Coatl giving up.
I have all my characters.
Point.
I have all my characters there. Yeah, and that's the other thing. In the last turn, I was saving dice to heal my Coatl so he doesn't get half points. I forgot about it. I was so mad at myself. And we tie on points, like almost like a 20-point difference. But he gets a secondary and gets 13.
Wow, yeah. Crazy game.
It was a really fun game. Henry and I had a really fun time. I like this list. It's not competitive, this flamethrower list, but it's just super fun. It's just super crazy.
I feel like this is a kind of a showcase of one of its challenges, which is some of the objectives, right? Like you're relying on, that one big unit and then like 3 kind of throwaway units. And so like, I feel like you basically gave up this objective from the beginning of the game, right?
Yeah, I kind of did. I realized I couldn't really go for it. What I should have done, I think the big mistakes I made were, let's see here. This small skink unit shouldn't have been up in the front. It should have just been on the side running for the breakthrough objective. I don't know why I put it there. I was thinking I was going to use it for chaff, and I just never did. And it cost me this long charge that he made. And then the other thing
go ahead.
The other thing I think I messed up is taking the fight with the Yotun in my unit. I thought I was gonna plink him with 3 wounds left. I was feeling pretty confident, but he held me the entire combat, and I couldn't. I think I did 1 or 2, like out of 3 rounds of combat. It was pretty rough.
You dropped first, right? Yeah. Yeah, just it sort of feels like, just kind of watching it, just sort of feels like you, like that whole left side with the 2 skink units and that 1 skink unit up in the front, and the pterodons and stuff was just kind of just died. Like it didn't do anything, just sat there.
Yeah, I agree. They did take off a bunch of wounds on the giant just with light shooting, which was lucky of me. But in reality, these 2 units didn't do anything.
Yeah, I think I agree with your assessment that, like, especially with that long ship raid mechanic, like cornering up into the, you know, what's the bottom right from our perspective, would have been, I think, a little bit more effective, because you also didn't put, because of the comet and your first turn move, you also didn't push up that far. So he was really right in the mix with those 2 ambush units when they came on, which I think made it harder for you to maneuver.
Yeah.
Although you ended up slipping out with the big points, right? The Quaddle and the BSB and Caster and stuff. But yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, again, thanks
And
to
the Rampart
Henry.
didn't do anything.
Yeah, they really didn't. They really didn't in this game. Thanks to Henry. It was a really fun game. We'll see how the rest of this tournament goes. Starting off with the 7's a little rough, but hey, it's just a fun 1-day tournament. If you are still watching, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you at the next battle report.
Later, everybody.